We have an interesting development over the last 24 hours. I normally don't talk about these kind of things because it's not really my purview, and I don't really care to talk about them specifically on my channel. But Israel has attacked Iran. That's right, and it just so happens that a certain orange man might be involved, and it might signal that the United States is getting more involved once again into the Middle East, and it's bullshit. So let's see what happens. So apparently, where was it? Apparently, Israel built a drone base in Iran. They built a secret base in Iran and used it launch attacks against their top military leadership. Un momento, por favor. It's been really hard, like, sifting through all the bullshit to actually find anything. So we're just gonna kind of, I hate to say this, we're just gonna kind of fucking glaze the fuck over it. The main reason is because there's so much content being put out. I don't know what's real and what's not, and I don't want to just sit here and read news articles and listen to videos. We're just gonna blaze right over it. They built a secret drone base in Iran to strike Iranian assets. That is correct. And when they did, they used precision missiles to kill these individuals. Now, there were casualties other than these individuals. I think they killed like 6 or 7 of them. But the collateral damage was minimal. I know that sounds fucked up, but that's just how it is, right? I mean, let me ask you a question. You know, Iran struck back. Do you think that they used precision-guided missiles like this to only target military targets? Or even with their military assets, they would only target military targets? Or do you believe that Iran would just try to carpet bomb Israel with missiles? Which do you think would happen? Yes, of course. And to be fair, all of the missile strikes that have been reported from Iran, where they were going to land, is something that Israel is putting out, not Iran. So, you know, take that with the grain of salt that it is, because, of course. And the reason, like, one of the biggest and only reasons I'm talking about this is because we're involved. That's pretty much what it is. I glazed over. I don't even think I talked about India and Pakistan, and I actually kind of like India. You know what I mean? I don't care to talk about this kind of shit most of the time. But of course, the great and powerful Trump-olophus, the God Emperor of Cheetos himself, had to fucking swing his dick in the ring. I gave Iran a chance after making a deal. I told them in the strongest of words, just do it. No matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipated, or were told. That the United States makes the best, most lethal equipment anywhere in the world by far. And that Israel has a lot of it, with much more to come. And they know how to use it. Like, I'm not going to lie, man. When Scott Adams talks about, when Scott Adams glazes Trump for his writing ability, most people roll their eyes, even me. But you got to admit, the man's tactical use of bad grammar and like bad writing, things that are just kind of off, like how you capitalize certain phrases and or words, the hyphen in the middle of a sentence after how many we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 commas in this gigantic fucking run-on sentence. It's great, dude. Peak. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they don't know what was about to happen. They're all dead now, and it will only get worse. There has already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make this slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. No more death, no more destruction. Just do it before it's too late. God bless you all. Lovely. And so it appears that the United States absolutely knew what was going on and what was going to happen beforehand. I mean, it's just funny, you know. Trump gives an ultimatum to Iran that, hey, in 60 days, if you don't come to a deal, you're going to regret it. On the 61st day, Israel absolutely decimates their military structure, their upper military structure, with minimal civilian deaths. Minimal. And the return strikes on Iran have not been very, let me see something here. Do they have, they don't have any figures, do they? So, we go, casualty reports. And we are sending ships in response. I'm assuming they already had stuff in the region and they're just kind of like moving them closer kind of deal. Because the thing you got to remember is that, as much as I hate to admit it, the United States Navy is the world police. God help us all. And the USS Thomas Hudner is on sale from Western Turkmenian Sea to the eastern, and a second destroyer has also been ordered to move forward if available. Yeah, so it's just going to be for protecting Israel and providing regional support. The Carl Vinson aircraft carrier remains in the Arabian Sea. USS Nimitz is currently in the Indo-Pacific and redirected to the Middle East if required. Sweet. But again, the point is that we knew this was going to happen. It was more than likely Trump gave them like the deadline and then basically held Israel back from doing any strikes until the deadline was over, because it's like, you know, you can't fuck up our negotiations. We give you bunches of money, so you do what we say for just a little bit. just a little bit. Oh, it's ridiculous. I really, really, really hope this does not involve us getting into more Middle Eastern war, but because Iran is a completely different ballgame. And I definitely do believe that Israel not targeting civilians and only targeting the military officials, especially the ones who are in charge of like the proxy terrorist groups, probably a good PR stunt. Because from what I understand, the people of Iran do not like their leadership. They do not at all. I've seen all, you know, you've seen the viral videos of all the guys. I mean, I could probably fucking find one, to be quite honest. You've seen those videos of Iranians refusing to step on the American flag. You know what I'm talking about. Iran. They're like chanting death to America and all this other stuff. And you have a few people like walking over it, and then multiple instances where particularly students have refused to step on the U.S. flag, often as a symbolic gesture against defiance against the government propaganda and anti-American sentiment. That does not mean they love America. It means they hate their government. Got to remember that, right? The government says death to America. So an act of rebellion would be to not say death to America, not to love America. There's a difference. There is absolutely a difference. Do we have any videos? This is in 2020. Is this anything? I don't have my fucking sound on because of course it went off again. Yeah. Got one of these bad boys. And you know, it's college students, stuff like that. Yeah, sure, some of them step on it, but look, many of them are just walking around it. Look at that, dude. Yeah. They're actively walking in a queue and actively taking a roundabout way to openly just defy. Look at this. This is what you call protest. Oh, This is why the people who like do burnouts on the gay pride stuff that's on the streets, this is why they're idiots. This is why they're idiots. Because if you really want to stick it to the man, this is how you do it. There's so much more here, right? There's so much more here. All right. So, yes, we, I don't know what our involvement is going to be after all this. There's not been, I haven't seen too much since it started yesterday afternoon. It's midday in Jerusalem right now, I'm assuming, or in Israel and over there. Oh, and yeah, here are the casualty reports. In Iran, the state media, at least 78 people killed, 320 injured, including civilians, women, children, military personnel, with the majority of casualties in Tehran. I did see one post on X that was talking about how it was a woman claiming to be from Iran, bitching about the fact that all of their leaders live separately from the population, because well, I'm sure you can guess why. And so most of the people that it killed were only associated with the actual government and the regime. Not that, fucking children who happen to be born to, bad individuals within the regime deserve to die. That is absolutely not the case. That is never the case. And, but it is one of those things. And it looks like only 3 civilians have been killed with 70 injured from Iran's retaliatory missile strikes, which sucks. But so the big reason this happened was not just to cut off. I know it's gigantic, bright white screen. It's not just to cut off the head of the military. It was also to target their nuclear program because they were getting close to a nuclear weapon. They had large amounts of refined uranium. That's not what it is. Yeah, it says the Iranians program will continue for as many days as it takes to remove the threat. Let me see. Yeah, so their nuclear program was targeted. I believe they blew up one of their bases where they think they were developing nuclear weapons, or they had all of their. I don't know exactly what they killed. I know the nuclear program was targeted. I don't know exactly what they blew up. There was concern of radiation from them blowing up a nuclear site a site that has nuclear material in it. It appears that that's not the case, that there is no, residual radiation, and they did not target Iran's nuclear power facility either. So basically, we're just in a holding match for right now, and we'll see what continues to happen. I really don't think that Iran's going to be able to do overly much. They're basically isolated. They have no allies really in the Middle East outside of their own proxies that they've created. I believe their only real allies are like China, North Korea, and Russia, the axis of evil. But thank you, George W. And I mean, Israel destroyed a good portion of their air defenses and their ability to remove missiles and strike. Excuse me. Iran's ability to fend off missile attacks, their anti-air stuff, was destroyed last time Israel struck them, which was last year or earlier this year or something like that, where they did that whole, I'm going to strike you and I'm going to strike back, and everybody struck everybody and almost nobody died, but Israel blew up most of Iran's like anti-air defenses. So this is why they've been using I believe in retaliation to the that Israel is going to be conducting more strikes on Iran using jets. I did hear that. Let me see. You know what? I'm just gonna let's do this. But I hope Israel strikes Iran and completely decimates them. I mean, it's an unpopular opinion on the right. Yeah, it's really weird how, like, because the thing about it is that it's just like with the Ukrainian thing. One of the things I don't understand about everybody on the right who's so anti-war it hurts my brain. It reminds me a lot of how stupid the arguments were for being against, the anti-war protests were in, for the Korean War, the Vietnam War. And yes, obviously there was bad things going on, but the arguments being made are fucking dumb, right? There are certain things that we as America must do to secure our own interests everywhere across the world, right? Like, for instance, if the United States of America didn't secure free trade around the world, there would be no free trade around the world. Because it used to be whoever controlled the waters of a certain area, it used to be that open water was basically free season and you could only protect so much. And it wasn't until the United States came around and basically installed Pax Americana that we now have the ability to go anywhere in the world and trade anywhere in the world simply because the United States military, specifically the Navy, guarantees all that stuff around the world. We're not going to prevent people from attacking one another. If you want to have a naval battle, the United States is not going to do anything about that. But if you're going to be attacking commercial shipping, especially commercial shipping that has anything to do with the United States of America, it's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good for you. Why is this offline? Let me see. Browser? Is it a donation? No? I don't know. Huh. That's weird. I am very confused. This is the browser source is offline. God dang it. Does anything around here ever work? Un momento. Yeah, I don't know why it says that. So I guess we're not going to get any announcements this stream. All right. Well, anyway, so a lot of like I was saying, a lot of the arguments against the whole warmongering thing, I understand it, and I agree. I also too have pseudo PTSD from all of our bullshit in the Middle East, and don't want to be involved in any more fucking wars. But then the question really comes: do you think it should be allowed that Iran should be able to develop nuclear weapons? Is the answer yes or no? If the answer is I don't care, then you need to shut the fuck up and go away. It's really that simple. If the answer is no, that's fine. That's valid. But if your answer is I don't know, I don't want to be involved, then you can sit your ass fucking down and let the grown-ups talk. Because we have to talk about this. Are we to let a fanatical death cult access to nuclear weapons? Are you insane? Now, is it likely they'll be able to do overly much with a true nuclear weapon? I mean, 1 or 2 attacks is more than enough if you know how nuclear weapons work. It's not like they're going to be dropping bombs out of planes, right? It's either going to be missiles or it's going to be dirty bombs. It's going to be terrorist stuff. Honestly, if I had to guess, it would be terrorist stuff. If they had the ability to make bombs, they would make small bombs that you could shield from detection, that could be potentially smuggled into the United States of America. I mean, think about how many people came across the border. Do you think they wouldn't be able to sneak across a suitcase? It doesn't take much nuclear material to make a big ass explosion. It also doesn't take much nuclear material to cause insane amounts of nuclear fallout or contamination, I should say. So the real it's not the nuclear explosion that really gets it. It's what happens if somebody takes some really bad material, puts it in a suitcase, straps C4 all around it, and then blows it up in downtown LA or on Times Square in New York, right? What happens? Well, depending on what it is, most likely it will vaporize the material, but it's still vaporizing it just turns it into its component atoms, right? So it would scatter its atoms everywhere. But all of the atoms are still radioactive. And so any chunks, any bits of it, they would scatter all over the place and basically scatter it into the atmosphere, and it would fall over. I don't know. It depends on the explosion, wind, all kinds of stuff, how much material there was, how actually radioactive it was, as to whether or not it would actually cause a lot of damage, right? But anybody it did hit, it did touch. If it was bad enough stuff, it would absolutely be really, really fucking bad. The amount of damage you could do with a device like that is insane. And some of it might not even be felt for years because, radiation exposure is not something that hits you instantly unless you get a supremely lethal dose. The guy in Chernobyl who was the director, who was one of the director guys who was helping like with all the stuff. And even though he was not like directly dealing with all the cleanup with his own hands, 5 years later he died. I'm not sure if he hung himself or if it was like he finally found out that he had cancer and he was going to die soon, and so he just hung himself, which I can understand. Anyway, so yeah, we are. Oh, of course. Wow. Israel striking Iran made Nick Fuentes blow up. Again, his second largest stream ever. If you don't know who Nick Fuentes is, well, he's a dumbass racist. So we'll just leave that.